My first morning in my new home was supposed to be peaceful, a clean start. No HOA, no fines, no neighbors lurking behind blinds. But instead, a woman I'd never seen before walked straight onto my property, smiled like she was posing for a brochure, and crushed my son's model airplane under her heel. 10 minutes later, her husband swung a baton at my head, and if my cameras hadn't caught every second, I'd probably be telling this story from a jail cell instead of my porch. That's how fast peace can get punched in the mouth. I had woken up that morning feeling free. For the first time in years, the quiet wasn't forced or suspicious. It wasn't the creepy HOA quiet where everyone pretends to love each other while sending anonymous complaints about your truck or your Christmas wreath. This was real quiet. Pine needles brushing in the wind, a mourning dove somewhere in the valley, floorboards warming under sunlight, the kind of quiet a man forgets he needs until he hears it again. I made coffee, stepped onto the porch barefoot, and watched a layer of fog lift off the foothills like a curtain rising. After everything I'd fought through in my old neighborhood, 2 years of hearings, fines, and a legal battle that drained me to the bone, standing there felt like reclaiming my life. 20 acres of unincorporated county land. No HOA, no committees, no one measuring my grass or judging the color of my mailbox. I checked every line on the deed myself. I didn't leave a single loophole for trouble. Inside, the kids were still asleep, wiped out from moving boxes, late-night pizza, and trying to coax our cat out of a box labeled winter coats. We were messy tired, but we were finally home. At least I thought we were. Because as I finished my coffee, an SUV rolled past the house slower than any normal person drives. It didn't stop, didn't wave, just hovered at the bend like someone was inspecting property that wasn't theirs. I brushed it off. People get curious when a new guy moves in, but I should have paid attention. That small flicker of unease was the first crack before the whole damn wall gave out. A few minutes later, I heard footsteps on gravel, sharp, confident, completely unfamiliar. Not a neighbor dropping off cookies, not a delivery guy, not someone who belonged here. When I turned, a woman in a navy blazer and ruler-cut bob hairdo was already halfway across my lawn, walking like she owned the deed to the soil under her feet. She didn't smile. She didn't greet me like a normal human. She just stopped 10 feet away, lifted her chin and said, "Good morning, you must be the new occupant." Her tone wasn't welcoming. It was evaluative, like she was giving me a score. "I'm Evelyn Barrett," she continued, "president of the High Ridge Estates Homeowners Association." My stomach dropped. Not because I was scared, because I was pissed. HOA here out on unincorporated county land. Evelyn opened a leather folder stuffed with highlighted papers and sticky notes and tried to hand it to me. "Your property has recently been incorporated into our jurisdiction. These are your membership documents." I didn't touch them. "Ma'am," I said as calmly as I could, "I've been reading maps since before you learned how to spell authority. This land is not part of your HOA." Her smile twitched. "This is the updated boundary map," she said, shoving the papers toward me again. "You are required to comply immediately." I pointed to the edge of my driveway. "Step off my property." Evelyn blinked like she couldn't process that anyone would ever tell her no. "You don't understand how this works," she snapped. "High Ridge has legal authority." "Show me the law," I said. "Show me the jurisdiction. Show me anything that gives you control over this land." She had nothing, and she knew it. "You have 10 seconds, I added, "before this becomes trespassing." She stepped back. Not because she agreed, because she wasn't prepared to push someone who pushed back harder. At the end of the driveway, she spun around and said, "People who don't work with the community don't last long." Then she left. Her footsteps faded, but the quiet she left behind wasn't peaceful. It tasted like a storm rolling over the ridge. And she didn't wait long to bring it. 3 hours later, while I was unpacking in the garage, I heard those same sharp footsteps again. Evelyn marched up the driveway with no sunglasses, no folder, just pure, concentrated anger carved into her face. "Mr. Reeves," she barked, "we're not done." I told her calmly she was trespassing. She ignored me and focused instead on a box on the porch labeled in my son's handwriting, "Do not crush model plane." Her eyes narrowed. She looked at me, then at the box. Then she smiled, the kind of smile a person gives right before they break something precious. "Don't," I warned. She lifted her foot and pressed down. The sound. God, that sound. Plastic snapping, wood splintering. The tiny wheel rolling across the porch until it tapped the toe of my boot and stopped. That I said quietly belonged to my son. Then teach him not to leave trash lying around, she replied. Trash. I told her to step away, but she turned and grabbed the latch of my U-Haul truck like she had the right to search it. I slammed the latch shut before she could open it. That was all the opportunity she needed. She stumbled back dramatically and screamed, "He assaulted me." Then she dialed 911 like she'd been waiting for that moment all day. Before I could even breathe, I heard an engine roaring up the road. A black pickup skidded into my driveway. The door flew open and a massive guy in a Barrett Security Services jacket stormed out. Her husband. "I'm Michael Barrett," he growled, marching at me. "You put your hands on my wife." Evelyn immediately started crying on cue. "He attacked me." "Michael." "He tried to hurt me." Michael didn't check her. Didn't ask a single question. He yanked a baton off his belt and swung it at my head. But I've seen that kind of swing before. I stepped inside his reach, grabbed his wrist, twisted, and the baton flew into the gravel. He dropped to one knee, groaning shocked. I didn't break his arm along with it. I stepped back, hands open. I didn't want this fight. But humiliation burns hotter than injury. He lunged again, grabbed my shirt, shoved me into a stack of boxes. A lamp toppled and exploded into glass. Evelyn screamed at the top of her lungs. "He's killing him. Help." That's when the universe decided to kick me at the worst possible moment. 2 county deputies sprinted up the driveway, guns half drawn, and their eyes locked on the calmest person there. Me. The younger one yelled, "Hands where I can see them." Evelyn sobbed harder. Michael pretended to limp away from me like I'd been beating him with his own baton. The deputies told me to turn around, and for one awful second, I felt something inside me crack. I remembered every fight with my old HOA, every accusation, every time the truth struggled to breathe. And I thought to myself, maybe I should have moved farther. Maybe HOA hell follows me everywhere. Maybe I was the problem. That's the closest I've ever come to giving up. But then I remembered the cameras. I kept my hands raised and said, "Deputies, there's a tablet in my right pocket linked to the security feed. You should look at it." Evelyn panicked. "He's lying. Don't look at anything. Just arrest him." That reaction saved me before the tablet even unlocked. The deputy played the recording. There it was. Evelyn marching across my lawn. Evelyn crushing the plane. Evelyn trying to open the U-Haul. Michael stepping out with the baton. Michael swinging first, me disarming him and stepping back with my hands open. When the video reached the moment Evelyn's heel snapped the plane's wing, the deputy paused, looked up at her and said, "Ma'am, is there any part of your statement that matches what we're seeing here?" Evelyn's jaw locked. Her face drained of color. Michael stared at the ground. The deputies turned to them next. "Hands behind your back." Watching those cuffs close was the first real breath I'd taken all day. But it wasn't over. That night, my lawyer Marcus Hale came to my house with a county zoning map. He spread it across my kitchen table. This, he said, tapping the real map is the actual boundary. Then he placed the map Evelyn had shown me on top. The border had been shifted 80 yards, just enough to include my property. This, Marcus continued, is fraud, and they did it to get this. He pointed to the south corner of my land, a section labeled Proposed Golf Ridge Expansion Phase 2. The HOA wanted my land to build an entrance road. They didn't stumble into me, they targeted me. The next morning, a maintenance worker from the HOA, thin guy nervous, kept looking over his shoulder, showed up at my door. He handed me a flash drive. "You didn't get this from me," he whispered. Inside was a video of a board meeting where Evelyn said, "The new guy on the hill is confident. I'll break that." The vice president added, "Most people fold when pressured. Boundary paperwork goes through if we overwhelm them with notices before they question it." They were predators, organized predators. Marcus dug deeper and found embezzlement, 3 fake consulting firms, all owned by the vice president, siphoning HOA money. This wasn't drama anymore. It was corruption. I posted a short clip of the assault online, not for revenge, but to get ahead of their lies. It blew up over 1 million views. Reporters contacted me, lawyers, people who'd suffered under HOAs. But I made another video telling folks not to harass the Barretts. "We're doing this legally," I said. "That's how we win." And that's exactly what we did. The county opened an investigation. The DA picked it up. HOA members turned on the board. I received secret recordings of their panic meetings, people shouting, blaming each other, realizing what was coming. Then came the hearing. No cameras, no audience, just a judge, us, and the truth. The judge reviewed the fraudulent maps, the assault footage, the financials, the internal emails. When he finally spoke, the entire room held its breath. The court finds that the High Ridge Estates HOA engaged in unlawful expansion of authority, submitted falsified boundary documents, and attempted to extort Mr. Reeves through harassment and fraud. Evelyn's head dropped. Michael closed his eyes. The judge continued. Mr. Reeves acted in lawful self-defense. That one line felt like someone cut a weight off my chest. Then came the penalties. Evelyn, 18 months probation, mandatory counseling, a restraining order. Michael, 90 days in county jail and a $10,000 fine. The HOA board, financially liable, dissolved pending criminal audit. And my land affirmed as non-HOA territory forever. The gavel hit the desk. Just like that, their power was gone. And that's where this story ends. Not with a celebration, not with a sunset, not with a cheerful family barbecue, just the moment the people who tried to break me finally broke themselves instead. Some battles aren't about winning. They're about refusing to surrender what's yours.